Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to McAD's Entertainment. I'm your host as always, Adam McGahee. Just wanted to say thank you again to all of you helping send this channel to the moon. We have broken 5,600 subscribers, which absolutely blows my mind. A year ago, I never thought this would even be possible, but here we are thanks to your amazing comments and support. You all are the true heroes. We continue the undead goodness with our series of videos breaking down the full Gory stories from the Marvel Zombies line of comics. In our last video, we covered the entire creepy chronicle of the spleen-eating scientists themselves, the Zombie Fantastic Four. I will have that video linked in the title card and in the description below. In today's video, we'll be going over the full legend of the artery-eating archer himself, Zombie Hawkeye. Like some of the other heroes we have covered, Hawkeye did in fact appear in the Zombies episode of What If as one of the infected. Gotta say, I love his character design here. Dude's flesh is literally rotting apart at the seams, but his hair is still on point. My boy, still looking fresh as possible, even after undeath. The heroes managed to escape Hawkeye's horde in the train station, but we then saw him again in the final episode of the What If series, where Doctor Strange summoned the undead to fight Ultron. Despite their best efforts, the likes of Clint and the other zombies were no match for the Infinity Stone-powered machine, who made quick work of them. That being said, I think it's safe to say that we may not see our hungry bow and arrow boy in the upcoming Marvel Zombies series, but hey, I'm wrong on a daily basis, so it's very possible. Similar to his What If counterpart, the Marvel Zombie comic-verse variant of Hawkeye was also infected by the deadly virus that transformed him and countless of his superhero acquaintances into brain-eating monsters. His tale spans several decades, so grab your shawarma, sit back, relax, and enjoy the full gory story of Zombie Hawkeye. Who is he? Zombie Hawkeye is one of many unfortunate heroes to be infected by a mysterious plague that transformed them into ravenous yet intelligent undead monsters. He made his first appearance in the pages of Ultimate Fantastic Four number 22 back in 2005. He comes from Earth 2149, but his origins prior to the infection were very similar to that of his main universe variant from Earth 616. Of course, all of that changed one fateful day when Ash Williams, yes, the same groovy dude from the Evil Dead films, was smacked into this dimension by a zombie version of the hero known as the Sentry at the gates of heaven. Having quite the extensive resume in dealing with the undead, Ash knew he would need some help, considering that he had a superpowered zombie hot on his tail. He then found out about the Avengers and proceeded to march straight to their mansion. Instead of ringing the doorbell like some pansy, Ash knew time was of the essence and knocked on the door like a real man by blasting the hero's intercom with his boomstick. Man is direct and knows what he wants. Total Chad material. Chad Williams, everybody. Rather upset that their fancy voice box was now a pile of scrap, Hawkeye and the aggravated Avengers approached Ash to see just what this apparent weirdo needed this urgently. Ash then tried his best to explain himself, but due to him not exactly making the best first impression, Hawkeye and the rest chalked the poor dude up to being another crazy New York local. The group then had Spider-Man web poor Ash up and deliver him to the authorities. I've mentioned this before in the other videos, but that web sack looked so comfortable, so warm. Definitely could take a nap in one of those. While Ash was swung away, Jarvis alerted Hawkeye and the others to a distress call in the middle of Manhattan. The gang fired up the Quinjet and headed to the scene, where they discovered a rather alarming sight. Here in the crater lied the unconscious body of the zombie sentry who Ash was warning about previously. The hungry hero then woke up and viciously attacked Hawkeye and the others, immediately infecting them with the virus. See y'all, I told you time and time again. Does Bruce Campbell lie? No! When he tells you something, you just do it, bro! Upon being bitten, Cap and the others keeled over in pain, declaring that their insides felt like they were boiling. They then vomited chunks of green mucus and bile all over the ground, their eyes rolled in the back of their head, and their teeth sharpened. Black Widow, whose neck was snapped by Sentry during the battle, twisted nicely back in place and asked what was going on. Hawkeye, now fully zombified, says that he's not too sure, but one thing was for certain, was that he was hungry and had a hankering for some human flesh. He then used his bow to pin a defenseless citizen against a nearby wall and leapt onto the man and bit out a huge chunk of his brain. Oh man, Hawkeye. Dude, if you were hungry, there's like a Taco Bell right up the street. I could have taken you to... Oh man, now you got brain all over the floor. I just mopped. As Spider-Man swung with Ash through the city, he realized that the intercom blasting crazy was telling the truth as he witnessed his former friends tearing into the terrified New York residents. Wanting to add Spidey to their now flesh-eating club, Colonel America then leapt onto the nearby rooftops and pounced onto the wall crawler, where he took out a huge chunk of his shoulder. This caused Spider-Man to drop poor Ash as they tumbled into a nearby alley. Still wrapped in his web cocoon, Ash rolled right to the feet of Hawkeye and several other heroes who were happy to see that their Grubhub order arrived just in time. Not yet transformed due to his powers staving off the infection, a quick-thinking Spider-Man then put on his best zombie impression and leapt onto Zombie Clint and threatened to eat the poor Archer's brains if he did not let him have Ash all to himself. I know I said this before, but can you imagine Tom Holland doing this to Jeremy Renner? Man, if they ever make a live-action Marvel Zombies movie, this scene better make it in there. Zombie Black Widow and the others then tell Spidey that this was not such a good idea, for their fellow undead taste terrible. Colonel America then chimed in, telling the wall crawler that they needed someone like Hawkeye in their organ-eating world conquest, so they decided to let him be selfish just this once and keep Ash to himself. Oh, so nice. See, even as zombies, we can still be civil folks. Spidey then swings away with Ash and reveals that he was human for the time being. He gets Ash to safety, but quickly leaves to check in on Aunt May and Mary Jane as Hawkeye and the others tear into the New York citizens below. Man, I don't remember this being part of Rogers the Musical. As they help themselves to all the tasty street food, Colonel America suddenly has a spark of humanity return, where he demands for Hawkeye and the others to stop what they were doing. With their hunger halted for the time being, Cap told the group that they needed to get back and head to Avengers Mansion so they could strategize on how to stop things before it was too late. Seemingly hopeful that they might try and fight this, that long walk must have burned off a lot of zombie calories, for as soon as they got back, Hawkeye and the gang immediately assaulted and ate poor Jarvis. R.I.P. buddy. Zombie Giant Man then waltzes in on the Butler banquet and asks the team members why they aren't trying to fight this unholy curse. Hawkeye then retorts that he had eaten over a dozen people just in this day, and there was pretty much no turning back from that. Plus Jarvis tasted delicious. Man, Clint, Zombie You makes Loki controlled you look like a good guy by comparison. Remember that evil Hawkeye folks in the first Avengers? Man, that dude played no games. The still living Avengers later on led an assault on Hawkeye and the others in an attempt to finally put an end to the zombie invasion. However, the undead strength proved to be too great, where the likes of Hawkeye and the others managed to infect powerful heroes like Wolverine, causing the others to retreat. As the infection spread and human supply got low, Clint and the other heroes then began turning their hungry eyes onto their other superpowered beings. At one point, he and She-Hulk even ganged up and ate poor MODOK. Dude just couldn't stay ahead of things. Get it? Because he's like a giant head? You know what? I'm sorry. I'll behave this time. On with the video. Eventually, the superpowered zombies then discovered that their former villain, Dr. Doom, was harboring survivors at his castle in Latveria. Hawkeye and the gang then planned a huge dinner party and led an assault on the giant fortress. Unbeknownst to the Horde, Doom and his scientists had constructed a multiversal portal, which would then be used to lead the remaining humans to safety in another world. It was at this time that Ash Williams had found his way to this castle as well. He consulted the use of the evil book known as the Necronomicon to create an undead army of the half-eaten corpses left behind by the supers. The zombie leftovers then came to life and stormed the castle, where they did battle with Hawkeye and the rest. However, they were no match for the might of the hungry heroes, but that was alright because it gave Doom just enough time to lead Ash and the others through the portal, which he then proceeded to destroy. However, this did not stop Zombie Reed Richards from repairing the device, which he then used to lead an alternate version of himself from the ultimate dimension to this hellish world. Despite their best attempts to gobble up the young stretchy man, Ultimate Reed was able to escape to his world thanks to this dimension's Magneto. As Ultimate Reed and his Fantastic Four escaped, Magneto destroyed the machine once again, locking him in this world with the angry and hungry supers. Not about to be turned into magnetic lunch meat just yet, Magneto cranked up the intensity and launched a storm of every metal nearby device at the Horde, slicing and dicing into their rotted flesh. He then escapes to the nearby rooftops with Colonel America and Spider-Man in hot pursuit. Spidey, forgetting to pack extra web fluid before becoming a ravenous cannibal, runs out and falls into the streets below, breaking his leg in half. Colonel America, however, then manages to get a hold of Magneto's purple Armani boot, only for the mutant to then use this opportunity to use Cap's shield to slice the hero's head right in half. Oh, see, it's not so bad, bro. Just think of all the money he'll save on haircuts now. Magneto then keeps his patriotic souvenir, where he then books it for the nearby sewers. Just before he can make like a Ninja Turtle and leave, he is then spotted by our favorite zombie archer, Hawkeye. The Avenger then prepped his bow and fired, but not before Magneto also launched Cap's shield at the same time. The Texas-style standoff resulted in Clint's head being sliced clean off with the shield, while Magneto was struck in the side with the archer's arrow. Oh, ouch, bro. Anyone got any Neosporin? Presumably killed after this encounter with the Master of Magnetism, poor Hawkeye was left behind while the other zombies ganged up on Magneto and tore the poor man to shreds. After this tasty snack, the zombie Avengers would then come face to face with the likes of the Silver Surfer, do battle with, and manage to eat the poor shiny man where they inherited his powers. They then use these powers to fry and gobble up their fellow undead friends, and even defeat and eat the mighty Galactus, whose powers they also adopted. Upon gaining Galactus' abilities, the remaining zombies then use them to spend the next 40 years traveling the universe, going planet to planet, completely devouring it and its citizens. Man, you thought Goku was bad spending one night at a restaurant? Try having to deal with a flesh-hungry superhero for 40 years. I'm sticking with Goku. While initially thought to have picked the entire Earth clean of life, it is then revealed that none other than Black Panther had survived the events of the initial infection. He survived along with several members of Magneto's handpicked mutant group known as the Acolytes, and a cured zombie wasp, whose head was in a jar that was powering the sweet robot body. I love this storyline. While the flesh-eating heroes were on their 40-year bender, T'Challa and the others then spent this time to salvage what they could of society, where they constructed the settlement of New Wakanda. While the New Wakandan castle was sweet and high-tech, just as you'd expect, the remaining ruins of New York became overgrown and jungle-like with plant life, and basically resembled the set of the I Am Legend movie. It is here that we see Black Panther's grandson Kashamba roaming the ruins of the once great city. As he walks through, he hears a voice scream out in pain from under the rubble. Thinking this was someone trapped, the young boy then rushes over and begins to pull the rocks away, where he makes a startling and rather disgusting discovery. The voice was revealed to come from none other than the decapitated head of Hawkeye that had been severed by Magneto all those years ago. Man, just saying, if I was a kid and came across something like this talking to me, I just may never sleep again for the rest of my life. Being cured of his hunger after being in isolation for so long, the Hawkeye head asked the boy if he would help him. Kashamba, knowing the vile ways of the zombies, asks if the head was trying to pull a fast one and eat him, but Hawkeye says no and just tells him that he was lonely and needed someone to talk to. Honestly, I feel kind of bad for Clint here. Sentient zombie head or not, we all get lonely sometimes. The extremely brave Kashamba then picks up the purple masked noggin and takes it back to the Wakandan palace, for he knew his grandfather T'Challa would know just how to handle it. We then cut to the starving zombie space Avengers who had just finished a recent meal. However, as bountiful as the cosmos had been for so long, they soon realized that all good things must come to an end as they reached the edge of the universe and realized there was nothing left to eat. As they debated on what to do, zombie Iron Man remembered the multiverse device that Magneto had destroyed all those years ago. Giant Man then remembers that the broken machine was taken to Reed Richards' Baxter building. The group then set their zombie GPSs and plot a course back to Earth so they could fix the portal and enter the meaty multiverse. Hey, Miles, you might want to stop drawing pictures of Gwen and start prepping for battle, dude. You got zombies coming. We are then brought back to New Wakanda where we see Kashamba just casually stroll into the castle, showing off the cool zombie Hawkeye head he had just found. Completely shocked to see his former ally still alive, T'Challa orders the boy to bring the head to him so he and his scientists could study it. Later on at the lab, Black Panther and his chief scientist Reynolds managed to find one of Wasp's old robot bodies and then put Hawkeye's head in it so he could be mobile again. Of course, it being Wasp's body, it came complete with robot curves and everything. Thick Hawkeye, everyone. Clint, I think he definitely sees this as an upgrade. Reynolds then reveals that all this time in isolation had made the hero go through severe PTSD, and although seemingly cured of his hunger, was still mentally unstable and should be watched at all times. T'Challa, being the kind ruler he was, opted to let Hawkeye live and had Reynolds in charge of monitoring his activity. While generally liked by the people as ruler, a small subset of radical mutants hated T'Challa and thought that his time had come. The group was led by the mutant Malcolm Cortez, who planned the king's murder so he can make himself king. So, no debates or formal elections like that? We're just skipping the straight murder, huh? I bet you're popular at parties, eh, Malcolm? Later that night, Malcolm sent an assassin to kill T'Challa. While he managed to completely disembowel the Wakandan king, a quick-thinking Wasp then zombified Black Panther in order to save his life. The pair, being fueled by a newfound fleshy hunger, then gang up on the assassin and completely devour him whole. Boom, there you go, takes care of that problem. Why lock him up when you can just eat him? These zombies, true problem solvers. In order to safely return to his people, T'Challa and Wasp had themselves locked in isolation for weeks in order for their hunger to fade. Once they lost their appetites, the zombie heroes then joined up with Hawkeye and the others to confront Fabian about his murderous actions. However, just before anything could be done, the group is then met with some very unexpected guests in the form of the galactic-powered Avengers. T'Challa tried reasoning to the humanity in the zombies, but a very hungry Hulk found all the chit-chat boring and immediately leapt down and began eating everyone in sight. It's okay, Hulk. I like to skip the cutscenes too sometimes. Giant Man then stopped the jugular-eating green giant and told him that they needed to be smart about things this time around. He proposed that they turn these remaining humans into a breeding program so they would not run out of food again. Seeing how twisted and evil they had become, Zombie Spider-Man and Luke Cage finally came to their senses and rebelled against their cannibal compatriots. As the zombies battled each other in the village, a rather confused zombie Hawkeye helped lead the survivors to safety along with Wasp. Reynolds, speaking through Hawkeye's body, then had T'Challa and the Resistance push the zombies to the border of the palace, where he was able to project a shield around the building, locking most of the hostile undead out. However, Reynolds' aim with the barrier was not exactly perfect, thus leaving a zombie gladiator trapped inside with T'Challa, Hawkeye, and the others. The heroes managed to pop the Cosmic Warrior's head like a purple balloon, leaving the Resistance safe for the time being. Swearing to find a way in, Iron Man and the others fly off to the Baxter building in search of the multiversal machine. Once the Resistance members get patched up, Forge reveals to them that years prior, he had taken the portal from the Baxter building and had it hidden at the palace this whole time. You just gonna drop that crucial bit of information right now, dude? Oh, jeez, where was that like 10 minutes ago? Knowing that the zombies would soon return to claim their prize, T'Challa then had Hawkeye and the others form up and create a plan of attack against the quickly approaching threat. Upon realizing that they were tricked, the zombie Avengers did in fact return, where they went to full-on zombie-on-zombie war with Hawkeye and the group. During the battle, T'Challa gets his remaining limbs squashed by an impatient zombie giant man who was just ready to eat. An infuriated Wasp then leaps in to avenge her king, only to get her head clapped right off her body by the mad-growing scientist. Look at this dude smile! That was your ex-wife, man! Definitely think this dude had some definite problems brewing even before becoming a zombie. Hawkeye, finally getting some action in, shoots some arrows at Giant Man from his wrist-mounted crossbow. However, since they're all zombies, it didn't do much, and just left the big zombie boy slightly aggravated that he had some arrows sticking out of his face. At least you tried, Hawkeye. We still love you. That wrist-mounted crossbow is pretty sweet though. Would definitely not mind if Marvel ever dropped a figure of this. The zombies quickly gain the upper hand and manage to make their way inside the palace. Just as they go to help themselves to a nice Survivor Sunday, they then made a startling discovery within their biology. After all this time in space without food, they too, like Hawkeye, Black Panther, and Wasp, had lost their appetite for human flesh. I still can't believe that all the zombies needed to do was just stop eating for a bit. All they needed to do was watch a few of Greg O'Gallagher's YouTube videos about intermittent fasting. See? Problem solved. Thanks, Greg. While most of the zombies were sorry for their flesh-eating sins, there was still one left who wasn't quite ready for forgiveness just yet. That, of course, was Zombie Hulk, who burst through the wall, all ready to help himself to the Survivor Slim Jims. The remaining heroes tried to stop him, but they were no match for his hangry strength as he tore through the heroes like rotting butter. Hawkeye once again loaded up his cute little crossbow and opened fire on the green boy, only for the arrows to bounce right off his back. Declaring that he found this annoying, the Hulk then proceeded to punch Hawkeye so hard that his head flew out of his cozy glass jar, where it came crashing to the ground below and smashed into a fine bloody red paste, thus resulting in a quick and gory death for everyone's favorite archer. Reynolds, knowing that the only way to end this was for the Hulk to be fed, went up and offered himself as sacrifice to the big green cannibal. Hulk gladly took the nice old man up on these dinner plans and gobbled him up right in front of everyone. Just as he finished his meal, he too felt his hunger fade, where he reverted back into Bruce Banner. Before they had another Hulk-sized problem on their hands, the remaining zombie Avengers then used their cosmic power to fry Banner's head, resulting in the death of the strongest Avenger. Later on, the heroes then held a funeral for Hawkeye and the others, remembering the good men and women they were before this hellish virus changed their lives forever. And that is the full gory story of Zombie Hawkeye. While his involvement was not nearly as in-depth as some of the other heroes that we have covered, it was still a great time while it lasted, and hey, it was awesome and hilarious getting to see a zombie head in a robot lady body shooting a wrist-mounted crossbow at people. You can't beat that. I would be curious to see if he somehow comes back for the upcoming Marvel Zombies series as well. I liked what we got to see of him in the Zombies episode of What If, and if he somehow makes an appearance, I certainly would not be complaining. What I would love most though is to hear what you all think. Did you know this about Zombie Hawkeye? Was there something I missed? What other comic character should we cover? Sound off in the comments. Also be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed today's content, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon to be notified of all of our latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you are awesome and loved, God bless, and I will see you in the next one.